Hello, good morning. I'm Tom DeLay. I'm Chief Executive of the Carbon Trust, and a very warm welcome to all who are joining us for this Net Zero Energy Transition Week. It's a 3-day event. It has an enormous amount to offer almost everybody. And I'm going to briefly outline the event, run through the 3-day program in outline, go through some of the report aspects, and hand over to the first panel. Imagine, let's have a look at the schedule itself. So here we are. This is today. We're going to start off with a keynote by Dan Hanser-Goodacre. Ofgem are going to follow from that, and then a keynote that effectively is the launch of the report by Julia King, Baroness Brown of Cambridge. That will then be followed by 2 presentations, one about the key findings of the report, the second about the energy system modelling that we actually put in place, with huge thanks to our partners at Imperial College in London. That will pretty much wrap up the end of day 1 by the end of the morning. Let's look at day 2. So there we are. We have an opening keynote, a terrific opening keynote by Chris Stark, Chief Executive of the Climate Change Committee, and then a series of panel discussions going into the requirements for an energy system development that will achieve net zero in 2050 and the role of smart technology in achieving that aim. That will primarily be day 2, starting at 10 o'clock, running through to the end of tomorrow afternoon. And for the final day, let's have a look at that one. There we go. We're going to be having, again, a start at 10 o'clock in the morning, running right the way through, particularly with discussion about the actual development, okay, how do we put in place this net zero energy system that we need with all the flexibility that we're going to be making a strong case for. It'll be talking about infrastructure development and coordination and the whole system approach and how to ensure that all the parts come together. Finishing off with a terrific set of short case studies by some of the partners who will be working with on this, running again towards an afternoon end on Thursday. So that is basically the outline of the session, as it were. A couple of quick questions I'd just like to highlight. It is 3 days. It's a long event. I think people will find it particularly interesting to come in on certain areas that are of relevance to them. But frankly, overall, there is a terrific theme running right the way through that's incredibly important. It begs the question, with over 1,000 people registered, who is this for? It's for everybody, because almost everybody has a role to play in building a net zero energy system that really works. We've talked a lot in the past about net zero power systems. That's different from an energy system. Why now? Why is it so important? Well, there are a whole number of things. The first is, I think there is an increasing realization that we need to look beyond power at the whole energy system to incorporate heat, to incorporate mobility and transport, to incorporate domestic appliances. We need to understand how the interactions between these different systems will play out and what opportunities that presents for us, as well as indeed challenges. So there's a very real realization. It's become particularly acute now that we've seen the Committee on Climate Change's 6th budget with a 78% reduction in carbon emissions by 2035. That really has put almost an afterburner on all the efforts that have been carried out so far. It's a relatively complex area, and it's one where there's an awful lot of talk, but not a lot of analysis. And I think what this report that we're going to be talking about today and over the next 3 days really does is bring a lot of analysis, a lot of quantification to different aspects of the whole energy system in a way that is really quite unique. It's a very important piece of work. It's a piece of work that we recognize we would never have done alone. Apart from Imperial College, who've done all the modelling work with us, we engaged with 12 partners in a broad collaboration. And in a sense, the value of the report and its output is the fact that it does have contributions from all 12 partners. It does have modelling across a number of scenarios carried out by Imperial College. And therefore, it combines a combination of insights, assumptions, and the consequences of those insights and assumptions on a number of different energy model scenarios. They all point to a very exciting future and one that we need to be ready for, full of opportunities, but indeed full of challenges and risks as well. I lastly would just highlight the blindingly obvious, really. This is urgent because we are reaching into COP26, hosted in Glasgow. The UK is going to be under a particular focus, and it's perfectly appropriate that we should be really thinking about our net zero transition more actively than anywhere else in the world. There are very few examples of whole energy system analyses of this kind anywhere in the world. And I think it's right that the UK should be right up there in pushing forward something that is unique and very positive. The report itself is available, the executive summary is available as a download from this platform. You can do that right now. The full report, there is a link to it, again, in this platform. You can go onto the FlexGB website, you can download the whole report. It's a full 200 pages. It's not the kind of thing you'll read in the background, but you'll realize if you go into the detail of areas that might be specifically of interest to you, it will to some degree allow you to look at this massive piece of work in the context of what is of particular relevance to you and to your organization. So in very, very short order, I've looked through the synopsis, the summary. It's always good to see at the end of a piece of work how it actually comes out. And essentially it covers three areas and three broad areas, and then goes into a lot more detail in each. The first area is all about the role and value of flexibility in a 2050 net zero system. It kicks off with the highline figure, really, that if we actually develop a smart, integrated, flexible energy system for net zero in 2050, it will be significantly more cost effective than any other solution, with cost savings of up to 16 billion on an annualized basis right out to that period. So it is, quite apart from what else, the cheapest approach to building net zero that we need in the UK in 2050. It addresses head-on challenges that have always been made around having a net zero system that can cope with dark, cold, windless days. And scenarios actually explore exactly that perspective and ensures that the systems that are being developed would be able to cope with all of those. It builds a lot of flexibility on the demand side. A lot of modeling has so far focused on the supply side. This integrates it very actively with what can be done on the demand side, a whole range of demand side solutions that we can bring to the bear essentially over the next 10, 15 years. And lastly, it highlights the value of a flexible energy system to local interests, essentially with more local deployment of the energy system and a better integration of what is done locally with what is done centrally. The second big area and theme is all around, okay, if that's the rationale for doing it, it's cost effective, it's also more resilient than anything else. What do we actually need to do to build this energy system by 2050? And the considerations include, again, what I think we all know, an unprecedented build out across the energy system of all kinds of technologies and solutions, going beyond net zero into essentially net zero and carbon removal is going to have significant implications for infrastructure development and solutions being developed. Carbon negative technologies, therefore, also have a significant role to play. The last of the three areas are some of the considerations that we should be having right now. What are the things we can think about now that will enable this flexible energy system going forward? So it's again the kind of thing you would have thought and hoped for, but it's clear that if you design something from the outset to have certain characteristics, it's a more efficient way of doing it than trying to retrofit something later on. So actually integrating flexible systems into enabling infrastructure, low carbon heat and transport solutions from the start is the right approach. There's going to be aspects of consumer engagement that need to be embraced and built into the solutions. Consumers have a strong role to play, and we need them to be on board with the development. As indeed, we need to have regulation and regulatory solutions that are progressive and allow the development of flexible, smart energy solutions that are going to be quite different to what we've seen in the past. So that pretty much is all I'd like to say at this point. It's a terrific report, and I would urge everybody to download the executive summary, have a read of that, download the full report and look for areas of specific interest to you. Over the next 3 days, you'll have a chance to hear from absolute leaders right across the spectrum, from academic groups to businesses, to others, to stakeholders, to Ofgem to Innovate UK. It's a fantastic event. Please do stay with us, enjoy, give us the feedback that we need to ensure not only that the event is good, but also that we capture all the feedback on the report, on what is being said, what is being discussed. It's a discussion, it needs to be a dialogue. Let's make it that way. So thank you very much indeed, and have a very good day.